Well, let's try and get that right there. Let's set that a little straighter. Hello there. Alex William Smith here, aka Jonathan Royal Hypnotist of www.magicalguru.com and also, of course, of www.hypnosisweek.com, which is where you probably found out about this Facebook Live broadcast. We will be going live, well, we are live now, I know we're live now, okay, but we'll be going live, if you know what I mean, as in talking about this week's subject matter, at 9 o'clock PM British time, as we do each and every Sunday evening at 9 o'clock British time, which is 4 PM in the afternoon Eastern American time, 1 o'clock Pacific American time even. Must get a new set of teeth. So we're going to give people, it's literally only 5 to 9 at the moment on my clock and my laptop here. So we're going to give people another 5 minutes, as it were, to join us before I start on this week's topic matter, which is media hypnosis, brainwashing and social engineering. So yeah, I'm going to be talking to you about how television, radio, stations, newspapers and magazines, how the largest proportion of them actually the main thing is not to entertain you, as it seems, or to inform you with news. It's actually to brainwash you and psychologically and socially condition and engineer you into a certain thought process, a certain set of beliefs, or sometimes to alter existing beliefs. Other times it can be to actually literally split a country against each other, for example, where some newspapers will support certain political parties and other newspapers and media's outlets will support a different political party, and obviously there'll be some members of the public who agree with this side and some who agree with this side, and obviously they disagree with each other. However, although this side that say votes for political party A and this side political party B disagree with each other, as it were, on which party should be in power in this example. Yep, just like the referendum, somebody saying, sorry Bray, thank you for joining us, you know, there will be some of the media going, oh, vote for this. And this group of people will latch onto that. And then there'll be some other area of different media outlets going, vote for this. And the other people will grasp onto that. But the end result is both parties fight and conflict against each other and disagree. But their focal point is that there are other people out there like me because they see it in this media, or these people see it in this media. So they feel as though what they're doing is normal and they get fed a message. But what is really interesting, and what we'll be going into shortly after 9 o'clock tonight, 9 PM British time, as it is every Sunday, which is 1 o'clock Pacific time American and 4 PM Eastern time. It's different times, different areas of the world, but there's a world time clock on hypnosisweek.com. My brother Lee just put up, are they imaginary hand puppets? Laugh out loud. Close, there's definitely puppets involved. And that, sadly, is the majority of the general public, no disrespect intended to anybody, but largely speaking, we are viewed as puppets by those in power, because the interesting thing is we'll be going into, once we get shortly after 9 o'clock, and then I know the majority of people have joined me. Now here on my profile, which is facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist, that's facebook.com/AlexTheHypnotist, Alex the Hypnotist. I know we've got about a dozen people with us live now, but I can also see on my laptop that on various of my Facebook pages and groups, on one of my groups there's 28 people currently watching live, and another one there's 12 people watching live. So the people watching in my Facebook groups and on my Facebook pages, if you want to ask questions, please be aware that on my laptop I am only going to see questions live while I'm on air on my actual Facebook profile. So if you're in one of my groups or you're on one of my pages, look at the little picture of me where it says Alex William Smith. Click on it and go to facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist, and then a little bit later on, when I open things up to questions, you'll actually be able to get a live answer from me. Whereas if you post a question on a group or a page, I won't see it while we're live on air, okay? So, with that said, it's 9 o'clock on my laptop now. We're just going to give people a couple more minutes to join us, and then we're going to get started. I would say, well, I won't say it now, but I will, 1 or 2 points during the course of this broadcast, I will just have to kind of mention to people that if they're joining us late, they really will need to watch this from the beginning for it to make sense. Otherwise, it really will seem a bit cuckoo, some of it. You may find, in fact I'm sure you will find, that you will want to watch this broadcast again after we finish, right from the beginning, and that you will want a pen and paper. In fact, if you've got a pen and paper to hand, get it now, next to you, make sure the pen's working. And if not, go and grab a piece of paper and a pen, because during this broadcast I'm going to be mentioning some dates to you, some very important dates in history. I'm going to be mentioning some phrases for you to type into Google and then click search so you can do some research of your own, because I do not want you to believe blindly anything that I say to you during the next hour. In fact, quite the opposite. I want you to disbelieve it totally until you prove for yourself through independent research and verification that everything I say to you is totally true. I know it's true. I have no reason to deceive you, but I don't want you to just take my word unquestioningly, because that's what media want you to do. That's what television and radio stations want. That's what newspapers and magazines want. They want you to take things without questioning them, and sadly, the largest amount of the population do. They're kind of arguably hypnotised into this idea that a national newspaper or a magazine, by virtue of being in print and on sale, must be telling the truth. And you know what? You've only got to type in the phrase Leveson, Leveson, Leveson inquiry into Google, and you soon find that the media do not always tell the truth. Now, we are going to be tying all this into the subject of hypnosis, stage hypnosis, hypnotherapy and NLP towards the end of the broadcast. But first, you need some background facts. You need to know why I feel I've got something I can share with you. Now, unfortunately, I'm limited to what I can share with you today in this broadcast for legal reasons. The fact being, there are currently cases going through the courts in London involving members of the media, current and former journalists, and such like, that if I were to say certain things that I'm privy to, it would be construed as contempt of court. So therefore, I cannot mention anything during this broadcast which is not already in the public domain and which is not already a provable fact. But I would still encourage you to go on Google and check these things out. These dates and timeline of things are important in you starting to get an idea of the fact that I'm not just a hypnotist. Okay, I was born on a circus, fast approaching 41 years ago now. I'm 41 this August the 13th. I started performing at 3 and a bit as Flap the Clown, and I've worked through lots of areas of show business, okay? I've done magic and illusion trickery like sleight of hand, Davy Copperfield, Paul Daniels, you know, the hand is quicker than the eye stuff. My dad did a fire-eating, bed of nails, ladder of daggers act, as well as being a circus clown. But I learnt the trickery behind that. Things are not what they seem. I got involved in the New Age arena, doing fortune telling when I was a lot younger and doing psychic fairs. And I discovered the frauds and cons and manipulations used in that industry. And as many of you know me better as Jonathan Royal, my stage name, or former stage name of Alex Leroy, or my real name, Alex William Smith by birth, I am now known by many as one of the world's leading, so other people say, hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis and NLP trainers, and indeed the evidence does seem to suggest, and you can check it out on magicalguru.com, that arguably I have probably taught more people who are currently successful hypnotherapists and stage hypnotists around the world than any other living individual trainer today. Anyway, I'm not here to brag, I'm just here to set a scene so you can understand that I'm not just a random nutter coming out with weird ideas, because this is going to get a little bit weird as this hour presses on. So it's 9:05. Hopefully you've got a pen and a piece of paper. If you're just joining us, then please get a pen and piece of paper, and also be aware that you need to follow this through. We will be talking about how the media brainwashes society, social engineering, but you need to understand a little bit about how I arrived at these conclusions first. And with that in mind, let me tell you that this week, this coming Thursday, because today is Sunday the 17th of July 2016 as we do this broadcast, okay? So today as we do this broadcast, it's Sunday the 17th of July, and this coming Thursday is the 21st of July, okay? Make a note of these dates as I give you dates on a sheet of paper. Get a piece of paper and a pen, or have WordPress open on another window of your computer, not WordPress, Microsoft Word or similar, and make a note of these things, because they're things you're going to want to independently verify for yourself on Google to prove that I'm not making them up, to prove that these are genuine facts, and that then as these stack up as being genuine facts, which they are, you can start to appreciate that the other things I'm going to tell you are also true. But I don't want you to blindly believe that. Oh no, I want you to actually do your own independent research and verify these things for yourself and come to your own decisions. Don't believe me, don't believe anyone else. Certainly don't believe any newspaper, magazine, television or radio programme when they purport to tell you news or factual information. Independently check it for yourself first. So, here goes. Dates you need to be aware of. I'm going to look up here probably because I've got dates on the wall, because I've got to get this just right, because I can only speak about things that are in the public domain, have already been proven as factually, legally, morally, ethically, everything correct, and that I've cast iron evidence that you can go and double check and triple check on Google, because there are current court cases involving former and present journalists and such like going on through the courts. That means I've got to be very careful, because I do not want in any way, shape or form to be in contempt of court. So anything I mention will be stuff that's in the public domain, but you may not be aware of because the mainstream media as a whole has not reported upon it for reasons that will become clear as we go on. So if you're just joining us, hello. If you're joining us on one of my Facebook group pages or groups, be aware that you're better off watching this at facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist, because that's where you'll be able to ask questions later. But for now, let's get cracking with dates you need to take note of. You see, on the 2nd of June 2013, okay, Talisa Konstantavlos, I apologise if I pronounced your name wrong, Talisa, who was formerly in the group N-Dubs, I believe, but known as Talisa, one of the former X Factor judges here in England. Searching Google, you'll soon find out who she is. On Sunday the 2nd of June 2013, a British newspaper, calling itself The Sun on Sunday, did an article with the headline, Talisa's Cocaine Deal Shame, alleging that she had arranged to supply cocaine with a colleague of hers to the undercover investigative journalist, whose tagline on this article, it said, was a one Mazher Mahmood, M-A-Z-H-E-R, M-A-H-M-O-O-D. Mazher Mahmood, aka the Fake Sheikh. Now, this article ran, everything seemed to be completely as per the article, which you can find details of online by doing a Google search for Talisa's Cocaine Deal Shame and the date 2nd of June 2013. And then, and for those people who are just asking what's this about, it's about the media brainwashing, mind control, and how everyone's socially engineered, but some background information, facts, dates and places need to be shared first so that people can make notes and then actually independently verify these things themselves, Google is your friend there, so that you can see that what I'm telling you has a sound basis in reality, unlike a lot of what gets reported in the media. So, the next important date is the 9th of December 2013. Okay, now I'm looking up because I've got to get this spot on. On the 9th of December 2013, Talisa was charged by the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, on the basis of that article that had appeared on the 2nd of June 2013. Okay? The next important date is the 21st of July 2014, the following year. Okay? That's the exact date when the trial had started, following Talisa having been charged by the CPS on the 9th of December 2013. The trial had begun, and on the 21st of July 2014, the trial collapsed and was shut down, finished, adjourned, called off, call it what you will, quite simply because the judge, whose name escapes me 1 second, McCreath, I've got it wrote down here, it's one of those, I always have a mental block on his name, which is, yes, there we go. The judge, Alistair McCreath, okay, told, and I'm quoting this word for word, Southwark Crown Court, he thought Mahmood had lied in giving evidence. He thought. That's not categoric fact, remember that. But he thought. It's a categoric fact that is what Judge Alistair McCreath said in court and gave us his justification for ending the trial and setting Talisa and her colleague free without any further court action. In other words, vindicating her. Okay? So the next important date is Wednesday the 12th of November 2014. Okay? Just a few months after the trial collapsed. The BBC show Panorama, actually on that date, Wednesday the 12th of November, finally broadcast a show called The Fake Sheikh Exposed. To be precise, that was 3 months, 3 weeks and 1 day after the collapse of the trial, where the judge said he believed Mahmood had lied. Okay, now, bear in mind that when you do your Google search, you'll also see that it was supposed to be broadcast earlier than that, but Mahmood and his bosses at The Sun on Sunday, News UK or News International newspapers, took various legal actions in order to try and permanently stop the broadcast of the show, but ultimately it ended up broadcasting on the Wednesday the 12th of November 2014, and how eye-opening it was indeed. Indeed, you can see the video of it by going on YouTube and searching for it, or you can find it on my page. But if you go to magicalguru.com and then click on Royles resume and go down the page a little bit, you'll see a section where it says for the full truth on Jonathan Royle, click here. Well, if you click on there on that page, you'll find that video. Or you could just type into Google the phrase "The Naked Truth About Jonathan Royle, aka Alex William Smith," and that WordPress page, blog, on there you'll find the video. I recommend you watch it. It'll give you an insight that's relevant to what we'll be talking about a little bit later in this broadcast. So, with that date noted, remember I said you'll want to take notes, and if you're not, at the end of this broadcast you'll want to watch it again with a pen and paper, take notes of the dates and the key phrases I'm giving you to search in Google, and then actually do that, search them, look, and see what I'm saying is true, but also get the bigger picture, because obviously my time here is limited tonight in sharing this with you. It will be a very eye-opening experience for you indeed to do that research afterwards, I promise you. So the next important date is the 4th of December 2014. If you search on Google the phrase "action on cases involving Mazza Mahmood," CPS, or you could also search for "action on cases involving Mazza Mahmood Crown Prosecution Service" and find the Crown Prosecution Service's own website. You'll see they issued a statement on the 4th of December 2014, saying that at least 25 cases, 25 convictions that had been previously obtained based on evidence given by the former News of the World journalist and currently then Sun on Sunday journalist Mazher, M-A-Z-H-E-R, Mahmood, M-A-H-M-O-O-D, were to be examined more closely, and disclosure packs giving details of what went on behind the scenes and what was revealed behind the scenes at the collapse of Talisa's trial were to be sent to these individuals. Well, I can tell you here, right now, I'm one of those individuals. I got one of those disclosure packs eventually, towards the end of December 2014, towards the end of December, start of January 2015 is when I started getting the documentation and finally got everything I needed in terms of the disclosure packs. So I'm involved in this, which is why it becomes relevant later on. Bear with me, if you're just joining us, this will all become very relevant to how television, radio, newspapers and magazines brainwash you and socially condition you for the powers that be, and now also the banking system and the media and politics is, well, it's all a brainwashing and mass, arguably mass waking hypnosis exercise. Take notes of these dates, check them out. So, the next date is the 2nd. Okay, we lost slightly there. So the next date is the 2nd of February 2015. If you search on Google, my name, Alex Smith, A-L-E-X, Smith, and the date, 2nd of February. Okay, we'll try that again. Anyone could think we're being interfered with, but we'll try that. If you search on Google the date 2nd of February 2015, together with my name, Alex, A-L-E-X, Smith, and the law firm name, Lewis, L-E-W-I-S, Nedus, N-E-D-A-S, or Nedus, Law, L-A-W, you will find their weblog where they mention that I've on that date instructed them to represent me in my appeal against the conviction I got back in 1999 following a 1998 News of the World article, but I'll come to that more very shortly, where I had in my possession for a brief period of time some counterfeit coins because I was trying to expose the illegal, unethical, immoral, call them what you will, techniques used by a particular individual, namely Mazher Mahmood and the News of the World newspaper back then, which was the culmination of me having spent years infiltrating the media with fabricated stories and getting to know journalists from the inside to really see what was going on and see things from the inside, as I'll cover a little bit later on. So that's the next important date. Then after that we have the 11th of February 2015. Put that date into Google with the phrase hypnotist to appeal, fake shake conviction. You will find some press articles. Read them after this broadcast and it will become even clearer to you my background that gives me authority, if you like, or first-hand experience, more importantly, insider knowledge experience, to be able to talk about what I'm going to talk about during the later sections of this broadcast, the stuff I'm going to guide you towards looking at to awaken yourself to the truth of what's really going on in this world today and has been for years. Okay, so then the 31st of July 2015 is the next date. 31st of July 2015. Search my name, Alex Smith, and the word appeal. Okay, and if need be you can add Mazher Mahmood onto that phrase and you will find another blog posting on Lewis Nedus Law website saying that my appeal against my conviction had been sent to the courts of appeal on that particular date. So you know this is for real, what I'm going to be talking about is for real. I'm involved. I'm looking at this from a different perspective than most. The next date is it was actually 2 days earlier because it leaked out the fact that my appeal was about to be submitted. So on 29th of July 2015, if you search Zelo Street, that's Z-E-L-O, Zelo Street, and the phrase fake shake back in court. That phrase to search is fake shake back in court with the date 29th of July 2015. Read that article in the alternative non-mainstream media, and that will give you much more of an idea of what was going on at that time period. Then the 17th of August 2015, it finally creeped into one of the mainstream media, namely the Guardian newspaper, in an article by Roy Greenslade. So if you search the 17th of August 2015, that date, with the phrase 6 appeal, that's the number 6, appeal against convictions linked to Mazza Mahmood's stories, and read that article, you will get, in conjunction with the Zelo Street article I just mentioned, a much bigger picture, and you'll see that it's not just me, it's former London's Burning and former Grange Hill actor John Alford, it's world heavyweight boxer Herbie Hides, and it's a whole bunch of other people that are involved, but I am, if you like, arguably the figurehead for their appeals. Mine's kind of been and the others have been latched on as you're reading those articles. Anyway, these are the things that when you look and check them out, then you'll see why later in this broadcast I'm saying the things I'm saying, and how I can know things with such certainty, because I've been on the inside. I've infiltrated the journalists, and I'm involved in this. What other people look at as a conspiracy, for me, is a reality, okay? I say that one more time. For what other people may perceive as being a conspiracy, I know to be a reality because it's happening or has happened in my life. And I know people personally that it's happened to or are happening to are involved with me. That's why I say if you're just joining us, when we finish this broadcast, you'll want to watch from the beginning and take a note of the dates and search the phrases I say in Google to independently verify the truth of what I'm saying and sharing with you. So, the next very important date for this to all make sense is Sunday the 17th of July 2016, that's today. As of today's date, I can tell you that my appeal is now, along with John Alford's, the actors, and Herbie Hides, the boxers, and various other people, is in the hands of the CCRC, the Criminal Cases Review Commission, which you can search on Google and you'll see what the Criminal Cases Review Commission is. They're looking at this and they are taking more action. It could take more months yet. It's probably going to be next year before this gets to court or any form of logical conclusion. That's why I've got to be careful about what I say and only say things that are already in the public domain, because there are ongoing cases and what not. But with that in mind, okay, remember that also this Thursday coming, Thursday the 21st of July, will be precisely 2 years to the day from when Talisa Konstantopoulos' trial at Southwark Crown Court collapsed, when Judge Alistair McCreath turned round to everyone and said that ultimately he thought Mahmood had lied in giving evidence. You'll see that all over the media all over the alternative media on Thursday. The mainstream media won't report. The reason they won't, it's like much of what we'll be talking about later, is because the majority of the British media is owned by Rupert Murdoch, as is a large proportion of the world media, thus meaning it's very easy to keep things hush hush and quiet. And of course, when it involves allegations against your own staff, organisations or journalists or own practices or ethics and such like, of course you're going to try and keep things quiet. Fortunately, we now live in an internet age where there are alternative media that's far more trustable, not all of it. You should never trust anything blindly. You should always independently verify things at least twice, I would say, from a couple of different sources, including, in fact, I'd say 3 sources at least. 2 alternative media and at least 1 mainstream media where possible, and then collate it all together, look at it, weigh it up, see what makes more sense, and ask yourself the question, who has got the most to benefit from this situation being reported in the manner it is being? And when you look at that, it will often give you a clue as to where the real truth lies. But as I say, with a bit of searching, a bit of common sense, you can soon find out the truth, and more often than not you'll find it's not as it first appears in the mainstream media, if indeed it appears in the mainstream media at all. But I'll go into that in more depth a little bit later when we get onto brainwashing and hypnosis. You need to understand why I am equipped to tell you things about this, as it were. So on Thursday, the 21st of July 2016, this Thursday, will be 2 years exactly to the date that that trial collapsed, okay? A couple of things also to consider are this. The trial collapsed on the 21st of July 2014. But the Sun on Sunday journalist, former News of the World, and remember the News of the World has shut down now, years ago, when it was shamed over the Millie Dowler phone hacking case, okay? Type in News of the World, phone hacking, and you'll see everything you need to on Google to understand why basically that paper or anything it ever printed really shouldn't be trusted in light of phone hacking and the other evidence that's out there now in the public domain. But anyway, back to the plot. The Sun on Sunday, it was, on the 21st of July 2014, when the actual article first appeared. But, no, you say I'm tripping myself up. That was the court case collapsing. Let me look at my notes. To be precise, the article appeared on the 2nd of June 2013, okay? And the headline was, Talisa's cocaine deal shame in the Sun on Sunday newspaper. That was on Sunday the 2nd of June 2013. It took, get this, it took, and I'm looking very clearly on here because I want this to be completely bang on the nail correct. There's a few things you need to consider. Okay, there may not be in order to have a piece of paper and a pen, and if you're just joining us, you'll want to watch this from the start when we finish and take notes of all the dates and phrases I've said to check in Google. But one important thing to consider is you'll find as you search Google that the perjury trial for Mazza Mahmood and Alan Smith, his driver, which has occurred as a result of that trial collapsing, is due to start on Monday the 19th of September 2016 this year. Now assuming it starts on the date that it's scheduled for, that will be 2 years, 8 weeks and 4 days since the collapse of the Talisa trial. Think about that. 2 years, 8 weeks and 4 days from that collapsing to them going on trial. That's a long time. This Thursday coming, the 21st of July 2016, just to put some other things in perspective, is going to be exactly 18 years, yes, 18 years, 3 months and 9 days since the News of the World printed their article on me saying, alleging that I was a drug smuggling, counterfeit money supplying, Uzi gun salesman, pimp. Basically, may as well have said that I was some kind of underworld crime lord. Okay, it was laughable and ridiculous to say the least, especially given that a large amount of what was reported and the way it was reported I never did or said. And especially when you consider the only thing I ever got charged for was having in my possession a quantity of counterfeit pound coins for a couple of hours, which I had knowing it would never go into public circulation, which was accepted fully by the judge and by the police and by the CPS, and everybody involved accepted that fact through the legal proceedings. That's the only thing I ever got a conviction for, because they said I did not have journalistic privilege to have these in my possession. And yet, oddly enough, Mazza Mahmood apparently had journalistic privilege to buy them because he was on the payroll of the News of the World. But because I was freelance journalist and not on the payroll of any newspaper at the time and was just intending to sell my expose on the newspaper to the highest bidder, as it were, I wasn't afforded journalistic privilege and so got charged and ultimately convicted for having those coins in my possession, even though in court the judge went on record and said he knew I'd engineered it all to try and expose the situation and what went on. As indeed the police confirmed and the CPS and all the other experts confirmed that in court, as is documented in all the Manchester Evening News reports of that particular trial, which you can see copies of by typing into Google the phrase "the naked truth about Jonathan Royle aka Alex William Smith" and going to the WordPress page, or going to my website magicalguru.com and clicking on Royles resume, scrolling down a bit, and then where it says find out the truth about the whole rumours and all the bullshit you see on the internet, click on that and you can see those particular articles that confirm that the judge, the police, the CPS and all the experts stated in court that I knew who I was dealing with, I'd engineered it, and I was indeed trying to expose their techniques and whatnot. Very important to bear that in mind. But the point is, that's 18 years, 3 months and 9 days ago since that article actually ever appeared on Sunday the 12th of April 1988, which is when it appeared. So the next thing to consider is, as I say, if you type into Google the phrase "the naked truth about Jonathan Royle aka Alex William Smith," and yes, I am reading this because I need this to be 1,000,000% precise, because there are ongoing court cases, so I can only mention stuff to you that's factually correct, legally correct, in the public domain, and will not affect any ongoing proceedings. But you can go onto Google and use these phrases and find out more for yourself. So if you type in "the naked truth about Jonathan Royle aka Alex William Smith," then you will discover that it is exactly 17, well, come this Thursday, the 21st of July, it will be exactly 17 years, 4 months and 20 days to this Thursday, the 21st of July 2016, since I was convicted and given a 6-month prison sentence for having hold of some counterfeit coins for a few hours, even though the judge, the police, the CPS and everyone involved in court basically confirmed, admitted that I knew they'd never get in public circulation. I knew who I was dealing with. I knew they'd get given to the police. But apparently I wasn't allowed journalistic licence because I was acting as a freelance journalist, doing my own story to try and expose the News of the World and their dodgy journalists as I perceived it, okay? And because I wasn't on the payroll of any newspaper at the time and was going to sell to the highest bidder, I wasn't afforded journalistic privilege. And yet, ask yourself this. Mazza Mahmood was afforded the legal right, apparently, to purchase counterfeit coins off me because he gave me money for the coins that I gave him, and yet no legal action was ever taken against him. And when you bear in mind that the judge, the CPS, the police and everyone in court confirmed they knew that I'd engineered it and set it up, and that if you search the phrase "the naked truth about Jonathan Royle aka Alex Smith" on Google and go to the WordPress site, or go to magicalguru.com, click on Royles resume and go to the bit where it says find out the truth about the rumours, you can see the articles in the Manchester Evening News that appeared on Tuesday the 2nd of March 1999, because I was convicted on Monday the 1st of March 1999, and on Tuesday the 2nd of March 1999 the Manchester Evening News in their early edition and late editions covered the conviction. The mainstream media, oddly enough, especially Rupert Murdoch's, did not cover this. I wonder why. Is it because the judge in court confirmed that I'd helped engineer the situation and I knew who I was dealing with? Could it be because the police confirmed this as well, as did the CPS? Could it be that the only way to report on this was to tell the truth of what was said in court, which was that the only reason I ever got a conviction is because they said because I was a freelance journalist and not on the payroll of a newspaper at the time, that I wasn't afforded the same journalistic privilege that was afforded to him, in so much as he was allowed to buy the coins off me without any legal action against him. When you consider it all, it becomes logical why it was never reported in the national media that I got convicted. So bear that in mind. You know, the truth is often stranger than fiction. So that conviction was 17 years, 4 months and 20 days ago when we get to this Thursday, the 21st of July, which just happens to be exactly 2 years to the day the Talisa trial collapsed, leading to what is supposed to be happening, and according to, if you type in Google, Mazza Mahmood perjury trial, it says that this is scheduled to start on Monday the 19th of September 2016. So those are all important dates. A few final bits and then we'll get on to how this is relevant to the media brainwashing you, socially conditioning you, and how governments and banking and religion all link together into this. But a few things just to consider is, if you've only just joined us, be sure to watch this when the broadcast is finished with a note paper and a pen and take note of the dates and also the phrases I tell you to put into Google, because the stuff you'll want to double and triple check for yourself, there truly is, okay? And if you're currently watching this on one of my Facebook groups or pages, be aware that when I come to the question time bit, I'll only be answering questions live that appear underneath the video on my profile. So if you're on a group or a page, click on the bit where it says Alex William Smith and go to my Facebook profile, facebook.com/Alex the Hypnotist. That's facebook.com/AlexTheHypnotist. As anything posted there, when we come to the questions, I will answer live. Okay? Fantastic. So, we'll continue. Remember, if you're just joining us, you'll want to watch this from the beginning afterwards and take notes. Few things to consider this one. Alex Smith, me. I was charged of supplying those counterfeit coins within 2 weeks of the article appearing in the newspaper. Now, I actually went into the police station on the day the article appeared and said, I'm the person in that article, would you like to arrest me and question me because you'll want to, because I did deliver said coins to that journalist, and the reason was because I wanted to expose the fact that they print stuff that has no real basis in reality or truth. Which, when you look at what I've already told you, you'll see for yourself is what they did. Now, they said, no, until we get sent anything off the News of the World, we're not interested. So I went away. It must have been later that week when they did get sent stuff by the newspaper, and ultimately they did serve a warrant. But I gave myself up voluntarily and went in because they knew I actually, well, the irony of it is, you know, I'd done shows for some of these people in the past. They knew in advance, some of them, you could argue, what was going to happen. And I used to tell people in pubs in Rochdale, for example, that, you know, next week I'm going on a live TV show and I'm going to do such and such a publicity stunt. And then when I do it, everyone already knew in advance. This was common knowledge around my local drinking circle. Anyway, consider that I was charged within 2 weeks, but only charged of giving counterfeit coins to the journalist, because everything else they totally confirmed and admitted was A, either fabricated, totally made up, or was just said or done by me for the purposes of my intention of creating the story to expose the fact that said newspaper would publish things with little to no basis, if any, in truth. And because of that, you know, they said, simple answer, no further action on any of them, because basically you haven't done any of them. And the only reason that I did get charged for the counterfeit coins is because the CPS said that as I was freelance and not on the payroll of a journalist at the time and not a member of the National Union of Journalists, that therefore I did not have journalistic licence that afforded to me in the same way that clearly it was afforded to the journalist in question in so much as he got no legal action against him for purchasing coins off me, which in itself would normally be considered a criminal offence. So you bear that in mind. Also consider that I was convicted within less than 11 months of the article appearing. It got to court and I was convicted within 11 months. That's relevant when you consider this. Talisa was charged 6 months and 7 days after the article appeared about her, and the trial collapsed against her exactly 1 year, 1 month and 19 days after the original article appeared. So pretty quick from article appearing to trial for both of us, okay? In my case, the Manchester Evening News documented on Tuesday the 2nd of March 1999 that I knew exactly who I was dealing with. I'd engineered it, that the police, the judge, CPS and everyone confirmed that I had no criminal intent, and that I knew the coins would never go in public circulation, would ultimately go just to that journalist who would give them to the police, and then they would be out of public circulation. All of that was acknowledged. In Talisa's case, the trial collapsed, as we've already mentioned. If you're just joining us, go back, take notes of the dates, times, the phrases to tap into Google, look at all the stuff and piece it together for yourself. Don't take my word for it. You'll see that the rabbit hole's bigger than what I'm even saying to you at the moment. But here's something interesting to consider. And I can only say things that are facts that you can find on Google yourself, because there is an ongoing legal situation here, obviously. But Mazza Mahmood, after the Talisa trial collapsed, was not charged by the CPS, nor was his driver, Alan Smith. Neither of them were charged for perjury or any associated thing for 1 year, 2 months and 8 days after the collapse of the Talisa trial. Now, when you consider that I was convicted in less than 11 months from the date of publication of the article that I helped to fabricate, and that Talisa trial itself had not only started but had collapsed within 1 year, 1 month and 19 days from the date of publication of the original article, then when you look at the fact that Mahmood was not even charged for 1 year, 2 months and 8 days after the collapse of the trial, perhaps it will make you wonder, why? And then when you consider that, assuming that the trial does start as reported on the media, via various newspapers you can find on Google, it says it's scheduled, the trial against Mazza Mahmood for perjury and Alan Smith, his driver, due to start at the Old Bailey on Monday the 19th of September 2016. Assuming it does, that will be exactly 2 years, 8 weeks and 4 days after the date of publication. In this case it's not the date of publication, other than date of publication of all the newspapers reporting on the collapse of the Talisa trial. So just to clarify that again, it will be on the 19th of September 2016 when that's scheduled to start, apparently, at the Old Bailey. It will be 2 years, 8 weeks and 4 days after the date the Talisa trial collapsed. Again, it makes you think, wow, that's weird, isn't it? When I was convicted within 11 months of the article appearing, and Talisa's trial was already going on and actually collapsed within 1 year, 1 month and 19 days of the article about her appearing, raises questions as well. But I can't say too much more than this, and that is go on to google.com and type in this phrase, okay? Press gang, P-R-E-S-S, one word, and then the next word gang, G-A-N-G, and then Mazza, M-A-Z-H-E-R, and finally Mahmood, M-A-H-M-O-O-D. So that's Press Gang Mazza Mahmood. Go on the Press Gang website and read each and every one of their, I think it's 6 off the top of my head, articles and investigations. Cross-reference them. The things they mention, check. So when they mention somebody giving evidence in the Leveson inquiry, type in the date they give and the name of the person and find the actual Leveson inquiry records and see what that person said. In other words, don't believe anything I'm saying. If you're just joining us, you'll want to watch this from the beginning when the broadcast has ended and take note of the dates, the times, and also the phrases that I say to put into Google so that you can independently verify everything that I've said to you and find out it's completely factually, bona fide correct with cast iron evidence to support it in every manner. So, with that said, search that phrase, Press Gang Mazza Mahmood, read all of their articles, read them, and when you've read them, check out what it says and verify it independently yourself. And then bear in mind everything I've said up to this point in this video and the stuff you'll find looking on Google with the dates I've mentioned and the phrases I've mentioned, and you will be able to piece all of the jigsaw together yourself quite easily, I am sure, because all the pieces are there. I'm just not legally allowed to put them all together for you, but they are there if you look at those sources. I will in the future, when certain court proceedings are finished, be able to put the pieces of the jigsaw together for you, but at the moment all I can say is the stuff's out there in the public domain, put the jigsaw together yourself. With that in mind, I would also recommend, and I'm going off on a different tangent here, but it is relevant to the News of the World newspaper, which is, if you don't know, if you're in a different country, search it in Google, News of the World, and the phrase phone hacking, and you will basically see this newspaper was shamed and shut down for illegally hacking people's phones, fabricating stories, manipulating information, and a whole myriad of other things. The evidence is there. Court cases of people have been paid money. Just do the search if you don't know what I'm on about already. But an area that very few people know about, that the News of the World and News International and News UK are implicated in, is they're loosely implicated, but you'll have to look into this more to see what I mean, in the murder of a gentleman called Daniel Morgan. This is actually the most investigated murder in British history, and yet, until recently, until this year, very little mainstream media had ever really done much reports on it. Now, to find out more about that, I would go to www.untoldmurder.com. That's UNTOLDMURDER. www.untoldmurder.com. There is a podcast that you can get for very little money that you can listen to that will give you all the evidence, cold, hard facts, names, places, dates, proof, evidence beyond any doubt that Daniel Morgan was murdered, and pretty much all the evidence you need to piece together who was responsible. But along the way you'll see that various journalists and news organisations obstructed the course of at least one of the police investigations, and you have to ask yourself why. But to ensure that I don't drop myself in any legal hot water, I'm going to say check out www.untoldmurder.com and search for more information about the Daniel Morgan murder. And it will start to open up your eyes massively to the fact that the media is not just something for apparently telling you truthful news by way of the medium of television, radio, broadcast, newspapers or magazines. It's not just something that's apparently for entertainment. It's actually there to brainwash you, manipulate you, and often to divert your attention away from what's going on that really does affect you. But for example, governments don't want you to know certain policies are being passed, so the media make other things a massive story so that you look at them, and while you're focused on these things the media are reporting, they can pass through policies that if you knew about, the public would have probably kicked up a stink about more. This is happening practically every day. and you'll realise this more if you take my advice during this final sort of 20-25 minutes of this broadcast. And if you have just joined us or you join us later in this broadcast,